Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Program Director, Your Excellency, President Dr. William Ruto, ministers from both our countries, South Africa and Kenya, business leaders who are here present with us. I'd like to convey my joy and my special thanks to you, my dear brother, for inviting myself and my delegation to come to your beautiful country, but more especially as your first state visitor guest during the first part of your presidency. Thank you very much. You've given us more than a warm welcome to Kenya. Having been to Kenya a number of times, this has been a very special visit, largely because of the manner in which the discussions between our two delegations have really gone to great success and to new heights. Your country is not only known for the stunning beauty of this great country, but it is also known as a powerful economy in East Africa. And we see South Africa and Kenya having a symbiotic relationship in a number of areas. There's so much that we have in common, that we share. Our value system is very similar. The principles that we uphold, very, very similar. We're democratic, and you are too. You uphold human rights, so do we. Your governance structures, institutions, and processes are really outstanding. So there's much that binds us together as the two countries, and we are overjoyed with that. And our visit to you comes at a time when the world is facing enormous challenges, and we've just been recovering from COVID-19, and that too was an enormous challenge. I just want to speak on some of the issues and reiterate and endorse what President Ruto has just been saying, particularly about the enormous opportunities that we have on our continent in relation to our positioning in the world, in relation to our population as a continent, and in relation to the youthfulness of our population, and also get us to look back where we've come from. We're a continent that is quite resilient. Sometimes we browbeat ourselves into helplessness and submission and all that. I've always enjoyed President Museveni's take on our continent when he says, we are a continent of resilient people because we are survivors. We survived the most brutal form of punishment that was ever exerted on a people in the history of the world, colonialism. And they sought to wipe us out and to destroy us, but we survived. And we've emerged as independent countries, proud of our identities and surging forward. I mentioned COVID advisedly because as the world was gripped by this massive pandemic, as a continent we were able to distinguish ourselves in the manner in which we approached and we addressed COVID. We were the only continent that during this horrific pandemic were able to unite and to act as a continent in an integrated manner. If you ever want to talk about African integration, I saw it with my own eyes during COVID, when right at the outset of the pandemic, we developed a strategy, an African strategy of how to address and to approach COVID. And no other continent that I know of, even to a little extent Europe, was able to develop as good a strategy as we did. And that spoke to our integration. And we lived up to the strength, the resilient strength, and possibly hidden strength that we have as Africans who have survived a whole lot of other terrible things that were done to us as a people. And having developed that strategy, when the world was at sixes and ninths, trying to get personal protective equipment, and when all countries were running all over the world, overpaying for PPEs and what have you, going to suppliers all over the world, China, Europe, and being overcharged. We united once again and established an African medicine supplies platform where we all got together and started buying our PPEs at reduced prices. That too was phenomenal, and we did it because we became integrated and united. Whilst that was going ahead, the era of vaccines came to the fore, and once again we united and put together a vaccine acquisition entity. No other continent put up a vaccine acquisition entity like we did, and we were able to procure and amass vaccines in the most effective manner. And that to me showed us that working together, precisely the point that President Ruto was making, we are able to achieve enormous feats and demonstrate to the world. And in fact, the world was quite surprised at the manner in which Africa was able to unite and address a pandemic like this. So if we work together, we're able to achieve much more than what we imagine. President Ruto speaks about climate change. Our countries are being ravaged by climate change, droughts, floods, fires, pests, you name it. And it is this that, as President Ruto is saying, that we need to unite and work together and address even climate change. And out of it all, we should be able to see new opportunities, as President Ruto was saying, new industries, new sectors, and make sure that we enter those new sectors and excel in the most outstanding manner. Having just returned from COP27, held on African soil in Egypt, where the stark realities about climate change were demonstrated to all, as Africa and as African leaders, we made it very clear that our countries cannot afford a further rise in global temperatures, but we also collectively called upon the more developed economy countries to honor their commitments. And they have been making commitments over and over and over again. In COP21 in Paris, they made a commitment that they would be investing $100 billion or making available $100 billion per year. They have not met those commitments. Now, collectively, a number of African leaders who were there, all of us, one message, several voices, we said, we want them to address the loss and the damage that our countries are suffering from. And once again, Africa is showing great deal of integration of thought, effort, and articulation by saying to the world, we want you to address loss and damage. We are hardly responsible as a continent to the damage that has been done and continues to be done to climate, and we therefore want you, yes, to pay up. It is about time that the money is brought to Africa to enable us to address the damage they have caused to our climate. So, being here at this business forum, for me, and as President Ruto was saying, based on what we've been able to do in the past and the positions that we've collectively taken as a continent, it brings forward an important opportunity and message about what the business community should be able to do, working together with your various governments for us to search forward to address the issue of integration. It is about time that indeed Africa is more integrated. When we look, as President Ruto correctly said, when we look at other continents, especially Europe, their intertrade is up to 70%, and ours is a paltry less than 20%. And when you go into the markets that we have, as you go into our markets and when you pick up goods, I often begin looking where these goods are made. And I get appalled when I realize that goods that we could have made ourselves on the continent are imported from other environments in the world. And this is what we now need to live up to and address the issues that hold us back. What is it that holds us back? And here I speak to us as business and also as government. What's holding us back seems to be fear. Fear of the unknown, where we almost fear our own shadows and are worried about surging forward, confronting those shadows. Today, we were able to announce, for instance, that there should be visa-free travel between South Africa and Kenya, by Kenyans going to South Africa, that you no longer need to have a visa. Now, I'm able to say, what has always held us back, I was saying to President Ruto, is a fear. We possibly, as well, South Africans, we were afraid that by opening up the doors of South Africa to Kenya,